The Atlanta Braves completely embarrassed the New York Mets with an 11-6 comeback win in Citi Field. Y'all want to talk about it?
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams, good, bad, and crazy like tonight, each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. Jake Mastriani's not available tonight. Sick family member. He's taking care of them. But it's okay because Atlanta rallied as soon as Jake told me he was going to have to miss the podcast. Braves win this one 11-6, and it's really a tale of two different games. The Braves go down 6-0 early because Carlos Carrasco is not only not good, he is bad. We're going to get to that in a minute. But first, the Atlanta Braves score 9 runs in the fourth inning, 2 more in the sixth to have 11 unanswered runs and beat the Mets 11-6. And I've got some thoughts, okay? Again, we're going to get to the pitching later. I've got thoughts on the 6-man rotation. I've got thoughts on Carlos Carrasco and his viability here and all of that. But this offense for the Braves, Atlanta only had 7 at-bats in the game with a runner in scoring position. That's it. They converted 3 of them. Atlanta only left 4 runners on base. This is the game that we've been talking about. This is the stuff we need to see from the Braves offense. Being able to take advantage of opportunities, cash in base runners. Yes, the Braves get the grand slam. I mean, they get 4 runs off of a grand slam by Michael Harris. I honestly didn't know. The way this season has gone, I kind of thought that ball was going to be ruled as a double off the top of the wall or something, but they correctly said that was a grand slam. And then you get another, a 2-run homer from Marcell Ozuna later. So 6 runs come off a homer. But this was the Atlanta Braves doing what we've asked them to do all year. Okay. Again, they're down 6-0 going into the fourth. And from that point, Sean Murphy draws a walk to lead off the inning, 4-pitch walk. Not even competitive by David Peterson. Michael Harris gets a single. It's a 0-1 slider, kind of away in the zone, and he gets it out of there, right? Eli White strikes out. Rough night offensively. Good night defensively. We'll get to that in a minute. Nacho Alvarez draws a walk. Another 4-pitch walk. Again, David Peterson was giving this game away. Nick Allen gets an RBI walk. The dude's not hit a barrel all year, but you know what? Who else? You do not want to throw to Nick Allen with the bases loaded because that man will work a walk. It's a 9-pitch walk. Nick Allen battles here. This is not like the Nacho Alvarez walk, like the Sean Murphy walk that are 4 straight pitches. Nick Allen works this count. He gets down 0-2, takes a sinker high, fouls off 2 pitches near the zone, takes a ball out of the zone, fouls off another pitch in the zone, draws the walk. Fantastic at-bat from Nick Allen. Yes, he doesn't have any power to speak of. I don't care. The kid's a Gold Glove defender, and you know what? He had some pretty good at-bats tonight. That brings in 1 run. Jurickson Profar then clears the bases with a double. And we've talked a little bit about it. Jake and I have talked a little bit about this. Jurickson Profar goes 3 for 5 tonight. And he's actually hitting really, really well. Yes, his average is only 245 right now. The last week, He's batting .292 with a 500 slug. He's drawn 9 walks in the last 7 games. So Jurickson Profar clears the bases, and then after that, Matt Olson works a walk as well. They switch to Reed Garrett, so they take Neva Peterson out. They go to a righty to Reed Garrett. Marcell Ozuna gets an RBI single. Ozzie Albies strikes out. 5 pitches, 4 are in the zone. Really hard to argue here, right? Sean Murphy draws another walk. 2 walks in the inning for Sean Murphy. And then Michael Harris gets the grand slam. And honestly, this is the grand slam here is what you should be really happy about. Not because of the result, obviously, it's a grand slam. But I can't remember how many times this year we have all complained that Atlanta's opponents, like last night, when they get a center cut pitch, they hit it. And when Atlanta gets a center cut pitch, a middle pitch, they don't. Michael Harris gets a center cut cutter, which hurts me to say. I'm a cutter propagandist, but it's not a good cutter. And he launches this 417 feet for the home run, for the grand slam. This is to the point, and Doc made the point here in the chat, the Harris adjustments after the All-Star break have made him legitimately in the second half of the year, or second, right? He's been one of the best hitters in baseball. Okay? In the last 30 games for Michael Harris, 30 games, he's batting .342 with a .633 slug. He had one of the worst OPSs among any qualified hitter in baseball. And right now, he's brought that up to a .669. Not awesome, right? Obviously. But Michael Harris has been, Sam made the joke in the chat here, Harris for second half MVP. Legitimately, he's been one of the best hitters in baseball since the All-Star break. And I don't want to speak for all of you. I don't want to speak for Jake. I know he has some nuanced thoughts here. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast to hear some of those. I legitimately think that Michael Harris's second half run here kind of solidifies that, yes, not only should he be penciled in as a starter next year, but it feels like the issues that he was facing, because it's mechanical changes and not just a run of luck, and it's a good sample size here, it's more than 30 games, that it's safe to assume that it's more likely than not he is the Michael Harris that we know next year. John had a great stat here in the chat. The last 25 games, he's hit 7 homers. He hit 6 homers in the first 93 games. I wouldn't go as far to say he shouldn't play in the second half, but somebody asked me over on Braves Today the other day, maybe we should send Michael Harris to winter ball so he can get all the struggles out before the season starts. Because again, one of the best hitters in baseball in the second half. Never mind, he's still giving you the Gold Glove caliber defense. Like Nick Allen's giving you the Gold Glove caliber defense without the home run. He's going to get a home run this year. I know he is. But Michael Harris has been fantastic. He gets the grand slam tonight. Marcell Ozuna, since they decided they were not going to trade him, has been fantastic in the second half. While I don't love the idea of not having Drake Baldwin playing near everyday playing time, I want him to win Rookie of the Year. I want that draft pick for Atlanta. Marcell Ozuna in his last 15 games is hitting .277 with 7 homers. In the last week, he's hitting .333 with 5 homers. Marcell Ozuna's doing really well. And the offense is surprisingly what's carrying this team right now. They're having to carry the team because the pitching staff, and specifically the rotation, has been really, really bad. And we saw some of that from Carlos Carrasco. We'll break that down next, right here on the Braves Postcast. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency. I had one of the springs in my garage, like for my garage door break, and we couldn't get the vehicles out of the garage. If the first garage door company doesn't answer, do you just like wait for them to call back? No, you call the second one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system. It helps you streamline and scale your customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. You don't have to juggle multiple phones to keep business and phone calls separate. OpenPhone has solved that. They have an AI agent that handles after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer again. OpenPhone right now is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. We have all been there logging on early and waiting for concert tickets to go on sale. My office here at home, those of you on YouTube, full of concert posters. Jason Isbell, Hank Knight in Birmingham, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, bunch of like stuff. I go to concerts all the time outside of baseball season. And the hardest thing to do is to get tickets for a show that you really want to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. They make getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually dropped as you get closer to showtime. You can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. And if you know generally where you want to sit, but you don't want to go through and figure out which specific seat you want, their zone deals will pick the best seats in your chosen section for you. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Before we get to the pitching, I do want to acknowledge Eli White offensively is going through it. Last 7 games, he's 1 for 22. No walks, 10 strikeouts, does have 2 RBI and a stolen base. But defensively, he absolutely has not slacked off. Kind of like Michael Harris, right? Michael Harris was awful in the first half, but the defense was Gold Glove caliber. Eli White's been giving you that. He almost gunned somebody down earlier in the game, and then he does turn around and whip out the howitzer and gun somebody down at the plate later in the game, right? He almost gets, I think it's Nimmo or McNeil, then he does get Alonso. So Eli White, over 4 strikeouts tonight, gets the golden sombrero, really embarrassing, but the defense is absolutely still there. He's not really looked the same ever since we played in the Speedway Classic, right? He had the 2 home runs there. He's not looked the same. And I don't know if it's just because he has this, because he has that giant trophy now, if that's it. But Eli White's not been the same guy. Kind of frustrating. But let's talk about the offense. I'm sorry, the pitching staff, because Carlos Carrasco had an awful game. Again, 2 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 3 walks to 2 strikeouts. And I think the biggest part of this for me, the thing that's the most concerning, is if you're going to bring in a veteran to be in your rotation, he needs to either give you quality as far as, a good ERA, or he needs to give you quantity for innings. Carlos Carrasco didn't do either of those. He took 67 pitches to get 6 outs, 26 swings, and 4 whiffs. 4 whiffs. That's it. Part of the issue may be, this is the joke, part of the issue may be he didn't throw a cutter, but just a embarrassing showing by Carlos Carrasco. Average exit velocity against him was 103.7 tonight. 103.7 was the average. The softest ball put in play off of Carlos Carrasco, and there was 10 of them put into play off of him. The softest was 98.2 miles an hour. Every single batted ball he gave up was a hard hit ball. I see Britton in the chat asking, why is he still in the league? He may not be after this outing. Atlanta's doing the 6-man rotation, and Snit talked about this earlier in the week. He said that Atlanta may have to use a starter to cover for a short outing and then adjust the rotation. They don't do that here, right? They threw Austin Cox multiple innings yesterday. They throw Aaron Bummer multiple innings today. He throws 2 1/3. Aaron Bummer throws, 51 pitches. And so now you're down 2 long relievers. You're really in a situation where, honestly, you're probably going to see a roster move tonight or in the morning to send Austin Cox back down and replace him with somebody. I don't know if it's going to be Nathan Wiles, Dane Dunning. It can't be Dylan Dodd. He's not been down long enough. But you're in a situation where you already had a shorthanded bullpen. You just used 2 guys for multiple innings and 50-plus pitches in back-to-back days, right? Austin Cox yesterday, Aaron Bummer today. And you've got Bryce Elder tomorrow, who has an ERA right now of 6.12. So you're going to have to make a move. You're going to have to change a reliever. My hope, honestly, is that they DFA Carlos Carrasco, right? The 6-man rotation was an interesting idea. It would have been nice to do. Chris Sale is theoretically going to be back in a week or 2. I'd say probably 1 or 2 more starts. And so you're going to have to get some sort of free up a spot there anyway. You might as well go ahead and get rid of Cookie now and replace him with another reliever. And then you can make another move if you need to when you have, Dane Dunning's a day or 2 away from being down for long enough to come back up. So Dylan Dodd can't come back up for a week and a half. It's 15 days from when you were optioned down. He was optioned down less than a week ago. But Carrasco just wasn't good. Again, 10 batted balls. Every single one of them was a hard hit ball. 103.7 was the average exit velocity. And then because of this, almost everybody had to pitch. Cox was obviously down because we went so much yesterday. But Bummer threw 2 1/3. Tyler Kinley threw. Dylan Lee threw. Pierce Johnson threw. Rizzo Iglesias threw. The only reliever outside of Austin Cox that didn't pitch tonight was Deisabel Hernandez. So 1, you're guaranteed to have him tomorrow. But 2, multiple guys are going to have to go back to back unless you can bring somebody else up. So kind of leaves you a little bit nervous about what's going to happen with Cleveland this weekend because you just have to get down to this. To answer a question in the chat, if Carrasco's DFA'd, does the limit on Dodd and when he can come back up still apply? It does. The only way to get around that limit is if somebody goes on the injured list and Dylan Dodd is called up to replace that injured player. So if Carlos Carrasco says his shoulder's sore, they can IL him and call Dylan Dodd back up right away. But if they DFA him, Dylan Dodd's not an option to be called back up. So again, Braves win this one 11-6. Honestly, one of the more fun games that we've played all year. Yes, the first couple innings sucked, but after that, this was pretty gosh darn great, right? Juan Soto hitting a home run to stake them to a lead, and then when runners actually got on base and the game mattered, he struck out a couple times. A runner getting thrown out at home. Just a lot of LOL Mets stuff kind of happening in this game. Iron Lung on YouTube says he's going to go watch the Mets postcast after this. Chris Schubert's a great dude. He really works hard over there. Don't be mean to him, but definitely go check it out. He gets into his feelings from time to time about these losses, and I would too if this was my Mets team, who's been spiraling and been dreadful, had a big win yesterday, and then to blow a win like this, I would also be mad as well. Again, Braves win this one 11-6. We are back tomorrow. This is Bryce Elder versus Kodai Senga. We all know who Elder is at this point. Kodai Senga came out of his last start in the 4th inning. He got like an early out in that inning and then just started having some issues, some walks and things like that. So another guy that's just been giving some short starts and their bullpens had to do some stuff. We could potentially get Ronald Acuna Jr. back tomorrow. We don't know what the official move is going to be or when it's going to be. Snit said before the game that Ronald could be activated within a couple days. We just don't know. Austin Riley felt some discomfort yesterday, and he's probably going to be out until I'd imagine they get back to home next week versus the White Sox. That's Austin Riley. But Ronald Acuna Jr. could be back tomorrow. He could be back for the Cleveland series starting on Friday. Hopefully it should be soon. I'm really curious to see what the move is when you bring in Austin Riley. Nobody on the roster right now has options. Now that Marcell Ozuna is playing more DH, do you get rid of the third shortstop? The third catcher? Do you move Sandy Leon? Curious to see what happens, but either way, Ronald could be back soon. Imagine this offense plus Ronald Acuna Jr. Tons of fun, right? Do me a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Locked On Sports Atlanta, a lot of stuff coming out, Falcons training camp, things like that. Locked On Braves, Jake has a couple more shows this week, including his mailbag on Friday. So get your questions in for that. Until next time, this has been the Braves Postcast.